Grand Poobah.
Josh, what's going on?
Big Kahuna?
Yes.
I've been researching synonyms for Big Kahuna.
I had to explain to Josh what a synonym is.
I don't know what synonym means. I thought it was cinnamon, but
yeah.
I thought it was a delicious spice you put on donuts.
We did a little bit of research into what Big Kahuna means, and then synonyms popped up, and the Grand
Now I call
Poobah
you Grand Poobah.
Oh man. Anyway, so that was a great intro to this.
It was unnecessary. But this is episode 5 of Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs. How are you doing this week, Grand Poobah?
I'm doing really well, actually. Yeah.
Yep. What have you been up to?
Just been working a fair bit, and
yep.
I have a few things on the go that are sneaky little side jobs.
Oh, you can't tell me, can you?
More to come. You know about them, but
yep.
The listeners don't. More to come with that, guys.
Will they know?
Eventually, they'll know.
Okay, so don't feel bad, guys. You'll be in the loop eventually.
Yeah. It's too early to say anything about it.
It's just way too early.
Yeah.
You know, buns have just been put in the oven. We don't know what flavour they're going to be.
No, that's right.
Even though I know the ingredients.
They could be synonym buns.
Okay. Welcome to Dad Jokes Anonymous. I love that, man. All right. This track has some significance because it's got a very Kahuna theme to it. So put your socks on and get comfortable, Kahuna.
All right.
And you guys are back for another week of Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs. Settle in. Oh, that track is so sweet. It's just
totally rad.
So sweet.
I have no vocabulary for this. I did the little finger thing, and I was like, wait,
the hang 10.
Yeah.
Shaka bra.
Yeah.
No, alright guys, we're going to be talking about like sweet tube waves and dogs and teaching your dog to surf, cannabis.
Oh, cannabis and stuff, yeah.
Do you reckon I could talk the whole episode in that accent?
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
Well, you've reverse psychologied me into it now, so... Okay, we're going to be talking about classical conditioning today.
That does not sound like a pothead or anything
It
like
is
that.
a surfer. I don't care what you say. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
So, what's our dog ugly topic this week?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's do the intro first.
All right, man.
This topic is dog ugly.
It's the dog ugly topic. Are we ever going to get through that?
I don't know. I don't think so. No. Because it's always you whispering that gets me.
I don't even know if it's like audible on when you actually listen back.
It is, because I've listened to it in the car.
Oh, okay. Good, because I think it just goes into silence for a short time, and then and then we start giggling.
Maybe. It might.
Little girls.
But this week on episode 5, Big Kahuna, we're talking about classical conditioning.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I understand that this might be a bit of a dry topic for those people that already know a lot about dogs, but we are trying to, educate the people that don't know.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in classical conditioning that people think they know, and it's actually... some of the information is pretty interesting because it goes against what we think we're doing when we're doing classical conditioning. So sometimes it's not actual classical conditioning, and there's a few things that make that it has to be in order to be classical conditioning. So we'll talk about that as well today.
Every day is a school day with you, Kahuna.
Well, I gotta get the information out there.
You make me feel so dumb. Anyways, classical conditioning is, by definition, it's also known as Pavlovian conditioning for obvious reasons because of Ivan Pavlov.
It's obvious to us because we know about Pavlov.
Yeah.
So Pavlov was a a scientist who did a lot
Physiologist,
of he did experiments with dogs.
Some pretty disturbing ones. Yeah.
Wow, they were, yeah. And did you know that the classical conditioning study that he did actually came out as a what's
animal welfare issue?
Well, it was definitely an animal welfare issue, but that's not what I was saying. It's an afterthought. So he was not doing, he was not testing this in order, as part of his thing. He was testing cortisol levels or something in dogs, but he needed their saliva, so he would use the.
That's why he had the cannulas.
Yes, yeah. So he needed the saliva, and that was the reason that he did it. And then he just happened to find out that the saliva would come actually when the bell went.
Once again,
yeah,
Big Kahuna making Josh feel Dumbo.
Well, there's a lot of stuff here that. I mean, I don't even know if I have the stories 100% correct, but
you always have
pretty
stories
close.
100% correct.
Close.
But
So don't yell at me or go. Oh,
I'm not yelling at you.
I'm talking about the listeners. Listeners, if I get something wrong and I don't have all this information in front of me, so I'm just trying to relay what's in my brain, and if it's a little bit off, don't yell at me. Don't get mad.
Don't get upset.
Yes.
But classical conditioning is defined as learning a new behavior via the process of association, or it refers to a learning procedure in which a biologically potent stimulus, e.g. food, is paired with a previously neutral stimulus, e.g. a bell.
Yes. Yep.
So,
now what they mean by that, well, I mean, it's a little bit self-explanatory, but it's pairing two things together. The thing that makes it classical conditioning is it has to be a physiological thing that the human, or it can be any organism, but that the organism does naturally. So it's not a learned response to a particular stimulus, so a particular noise or whatever. It's something that they cannot stop. They can't help it. So anything other than that is just a conditioned response, which is not necessarily the same as classical conditioning.
Okay. So how did Ivan Pavlov first discover classical conditioning, Kahunis?
Yeah, so the way this started, this is kind of what I was touching on there. So in the beginning was he was doing an experiment where he required saliva, and he knew that he could get the saliva from doing some, bringing the food out to them or something like that. And then what he noticed was that I don't know exactly what the order was, but potentially because all the lab technicians were wearing the same thing, when they showed up in the room, the dogs would start to salivate even before the bulls.
That's
were
right.
there.
He noticed that the dogs would salivate when they saw the lab technicians in their lab coats.
Yeah, so that got him thinking, okay, maybe there's what's the reason for that? So then he decided to try and put a bell in just before the food was being delivered, to see if there was something that that would happen there if he put an unknown stimulus, a non-conditioned stimulus, just before giving the food. And then he worked out that when they started dinging the bell, then the saliva would come before the food was even given, right? And that was basically how he determined that you could condition a sound or a light or any sort of other thing to mean something else to the dog rather than what it actually is.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yep.
So it's kind of a confusing thing, but it's hard for us to really, I guess, understand it in human terms, because I think it does happen to us. I can tell a story where I think it does happen to us as well. But to say it gives you the same feeling as receiving the food, basically what we're saying, that if you use a clicker, let's say, and you click and give a treat, and then when you click and don't give the treat, it gives the dog the same exact feeling as getting a treat. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's what classical conditioning is. So the dog actually, in their brain, their whole body reacts as if they got the treat.
Yep.
Right? Which means they think they got it. Okay? So it's equal to getting a piece of food. So you no longer need to use the food. That's the idea. You don't have... If you're constantly and always clicking and then treating, every time you're doing your training, you're not using it properly.
Yep. Okay.
Right. So,
so on the flip side, to put it into sort of human psychology, so that people can attribute it to that. I've known a lot of people, a lot of mates of mine that have had post-traumatic stress disorder through service in the army.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like I have a mate of mine, and he says that the smell of diesel automatically dumps a huge amount of adrenaline in his brain because it takes him back to a certain event that happened.
Yeah,
and he can't control that in his body.
So I would say that is an example of classical conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it's a physiological thing that he can't control.
He can't
and
control
it just happens. Yeah. And it makes him feel the same way he felt in that situation.
Yeah.
So that would be the idea. I'm not a human expert at this, but what an example that I tell people that happened to me, and like it still happens. It's very strange, but it's more of a conditioned, not a good condition thing. It's a negative condition response, but it's when I hear like a police siren in the car.
Yeah. You run.
Yeah. Well, I look in my rearview mirror every time without fail, and I cannot stop myself.
Yeah, so that's classical conditioning.
I don't know if it's 100% classical conditioning, because it may just be a habit, but like a learned response.
Okay, yeah, a learned response,
right,
yeah.
Right, so,
but
what it does, it's a similar type of thing where when I hear, and even if it's in a song,
yeah.
So I know the song is on, and I know it's going to be playing. I've tested myself, so I've played the song that has that in it. I know that's going to happen, and then when I hear the siren, I still look in my rearview mirror. It's ridiculous. It drives me crazy.
Okay.
But that's because when I was in Canada and I got a speeding ticket, they like a few times. I used to speed a little bit.
You little Speedy Gonzales.
So when I used to speed back in Canada a little bit, I'd get a few tickets, and it reminded me of that every single time, and it's constant, like even to this day. And I haven't had a ticket in probably 10 years, and I still do the same thing.
Right. So that was enough of a positive punishment for you to be like...
It was a predictor of a punishment.
Yeah, but that you were getting that ticket back in Canada...
Yes.
...was the positive punishment.
Yeah. Yeah, and that siren has predicted that punishment, and
yes.
now it causes me to do that.
Well, it's actually funny that you sort of mentioned that, because ever since they found out about sort of what Pavlov found out about, and then it became common knowledge, they did all sorts of tests. And pretty sure this one was in Russia as well. Those Russians, I don't think they had like an animal welfare organization, but what they did was they found out that when they placed dogs in an injection booth every day and injected the dog with adrenaline, that the dog would then display bradycardia, which is a dangerously slow heartbeat, when they put the dog in the same booth but only injected it with a placebo. Ah. Does that make sense? So they'd put the dogs in there for every day, inject the dogs with adrenaline, but then they'd put the dog in there, and when it was injected with a placebo, the dog would then display the bradycardia, which is the dangerously slow heartbeat, because the body predicted that due to the place that it was in and what it experienced every day, that it must be experiencing it.
Yeah, and so it was counteracting
exactly
the
body counteracted it.
Yeah, without there even being adrenaline there.
Exactly,
that is interesting, isn't it?
And they also talk about, like people that are addicted to drugs, they will often do drugs in the same spot, and so their body will prepare for what it's about to undergo by either dumping adrenaline or another chemical in the body to prepare the body to be ready for that hit of whatever it is, so that and some people have cottoned onto it, so they'll go and do drugs in a different area where it's the same thing, like studies were done. So if you go to the same bar every week and you get drunk, you don't get as drunk as you do if you go to another bar,
because your body
prepares you for it. Yeah, right. Subconsciously. That's classical conditioning.
Yeah. Well, I would say yes, it is. Yeah, we don't even know where it's happening.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it's very interesting stuff.
Very, very interesting.
That's why I can drink like 50 beers at my house, but I can't drink.
You You go to like another bar, you're like, I'm Kahuna. It's a just have a beer. And they're like, so we haven't even given you one beer. Just tell me what's you.
That's exactly what I sound like.
I'm a jug trader. You look like a chihuahua. That's so bad.
That's excellent.
Yeah, but can you think of any examples that along the journey, along your dog training journey with clients and stuff, that you could suggest that their dog has been classically conditioned to something?
Yeah, this is a tricky one because all the ones that I always think of this and I go, are they being classically conditioned or is it just like
the learned
predicted?
Yeah, predicted.
Yeah, a predictive response. So, classical conditioning and predicted responses are a little bit different. So, an actual example of classical conditioning that they didn't mean to do. You mean?
Yeah.
That I find that one. That's a hard one for me to answer.
Can I give you an example and you tell me whether you think it's classical conditioning or...
Yeah.
Okay, so an example might be for a dog. Let's call her Chubbs. She had an irresponsible or abusive owner who we will call Ronaldo, because I don't like that guy. Oh. Ronaldo mistreated or physically abused Chubbs, and Ronaldo also wore a particular type of cologne or deodorant.
Oh, yes,
You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Chubbs had no contact with anyone else other than Ronaldo, because Ronaldo's a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that one of the things that Chubbs associated with being abused was the potent cologne or deodorant. Yeah?
Yep.
One day Chubbs fought back and bit Ronaldo on the knee after Ronaldo was being a dickhead. Chubbs was then given up for adoption. A new owner, let's call him Rupert, took Chubbs' dog home, not knowing about her prior history, and invited his friend around to meet Chubbs. The friend's name is not important, but oh no, old mate wears the same cologne as old arsehole owner Ronaldo.
Oh.
The dog then wigs out after smelling old mate and displays signs of aggression towards him, and Rupert has no idea why.
Right.
Chubbs has been classically conditioned.
See, this is where I could argue both ways. I would say potentially it's a predictive response for smelling that and predicting that something bad is going to happen.
Okay, so let's just say that Chubbs, like the stress, like cortisol, is produced
if there's
when
something
she
like
smells that.
So if you had the information of what happens physiologically to the dog when it smells that, then you'd be able to make a decision of whether or not it's
she gets nervous in her little socks.
Oh, nervous in her socks. Probably a classically, like almost like a PTSD type response. Yeah.
Yep.
So potentially, yes, that would be an example of classical conditioning. Obviously in a negative form. When we're using it in training, we try and use it
in a positive way.
I suppose we do use it in both ways, don't we?
But now, like as we're talking about this, I do see where positive reinforcement training or reward-based training definitely has its merits for a lot of dogs when thinking about classical conditioning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, because, all right, let's just say, that'd actually be like learned and predicted sort of thing. So if a dog's always had negative sort of, like a heap of negative, like there was no positive bias in the training.
Yep.
And like there's a particular cue or something that they understand means we're going to training, because that only, like, let's just say the dog gets a harness put on it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The dog gets a harness put on it because
that means we're
going to training.
Yeah, every time they go to training, they put the harness on.
Exactly. And then because every training session has been something that the dog doesn't enjoy, the dog's like, oh, and then their body is just pumping out stress.
Right. So, but they have a predictive relationship with the harness.
Exactly. Yeah. Saying, so it's not classically conditioned.
It can be both.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing. It's a cue. So that harness is a cue that we're about to do something I don't want.
Yeah.
Right. So just like we do cues for like sit is a cue to put your butt on the ground.
Yep.
Right. So that's a cue. It's not a classically conditioned response, right?
Yep.
But they're doing it on command, which they're doing it as a result of a cue.
Yep.
So this is where it can be a little bit tricky, is whether or not it's actually a physiological response or not.
Let's just say the dog is having a physiological response when the owner
a stress response.
A stress response when the
then again, that's so if they are having that, then I would say that that's an example of classical conditioning.
Okay.
I'd like to actually get someone in here who's really, really into this and can break it down a bit more.
It could be debated a lot of different ways. But if every time the dog is having a great time training, which is essentially what positive reinforcement trainers are doing.
Yeah.
Then the dog is going to associate the harness or other little cues, with positivity and good times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well,
I understand that.
But see, you know what I can tell you right now?
What?
So I use remote training collars, right, for my dogs.
Yep. So do I.
And which is obviously another topic that we're going to have to discuss in length because there's a massive stigma around them.
It's in the pipeline. We're going to have a whole episode dedicated to
jump
remote
down
training.
my throat just yet. Wait till I talk about it and tell you why I use it.
Hear me now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but when I bring out my remote collars, my dogs get super, super excited.
Yes,
super excited because they know that they're going out and they're going to have a great time. And we're going somewhere new. We're doing something interesting.
Yes.
Right. So
even though that there is the chance that they will have a sort of aversive.
Yeah. Well, but see, for them, there is no chance because they know how to beat it.
Yeah, they know how to beat it now. They've been taught how to beat it.
That's right. So they don't look at it and go, "Oh, there's a chance I might get stimmed with that." They go, "Oh, I don't really care about that. All that means is that we're going somewhere fun, and all I have to do is listen and do the right thing, and I never have to feel that anyway." Yeah. It's like getting in your car and going for a drive. You don't freak out because you might get a ticket.
Yeah.
We know that we're not going to get a ticket if we do the right thing, so we don't have to stress about it. If you went out and you randomly got tickets and you randomly got...
then
if the police would randomly arrest you when you were driving for doing nothing wrong...
Yeah, well, we don't live in Jamaica.
Exactly. But if that was the case, you would be much more nervous about driving.
Yeah.
Right? But because we know how to avoid tickets and how to avoid fines and how to avoid jail time, we don't stress about it because it's no big deal.
It's part of our everyday.
Exactly. And that's what, when I bring out a collar like that for my dogs, they get all excited because they know it's training time, and for them, training time means fun.
Exactly, and Joey's the same.
Yeah,
as soon as he sees me unclip the e-collar from the carabiner on his crate, he's like, "It's game time."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going hunting.
He's not thinking, "Oh no, it's." And if your dog is thinking that, you are not. You're not doing it right properly.
You're not doing it right at all.
And I think that's where the problem comes in. Is there's too many people that don't know what to do, and they are causing these problems in their dogs. And I see that side of it when I look at when the RSPCA is making these laws, they're making it for everybody.
Yeah,
right. They're not making it for the trainers.
Yeah, it's a blanket ban.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going, and to me, the way that they have it now is correct. They have it regulated. Yeah, right. Regulated is good.
I see it from their point of view in that.
Oh,
an e-collar in the inexperienced. We're getting a little bit off track, but we will. I reckon we're going to have to cover it off in like a 2 or 3 part sort of episode thing. But classical conditioning ties into e-collars as e-collars ties into classical conditioning. But I see it from their point of view in that the e-collars or remote training collars, whatever, in the hands of somebody that doesn't know what they're doing is a very, very dangerous tool.
Yes, absolutely. But as is every other tool that they sell the bloody gentle leaders as a force-free
head halties.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So they sell that as like a force-free thing, but you put that in the hands of the wrong person, and they will destroy a dog. Yep. Completely destroy them.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what you're using. If you use it wrong, you will wreck the dogs. It's a real shame, but that's what happens.
Yep. Exactly. But in there is, like you said earlier, it's a fine line between what's classical conditioning and what's like predictive sort of learning sort of thing. But we'll touch on it more, but it's just like an intro to classical conditioning. So like the example of chubs for people out there, that's maybe one. What's another real simple one?
Well, see, let's talk about why we use it and why it's useful to us. So this is the thing that I think, and this is a great way to train. I love using marker training, and this is an example of the goal is to get a classically conditioned response with a marker or a word. Like I use yes as my marker word, or I'll use a clicker, right? So if I'm using a clicker or my marker word yes, I pair that with high value treats. And what I want to get is when I click or say yes, I want that dog snapping his head around and coming to get the treat as quickly as possible, right? So you can use that as a marker to say you've done the correct thing. So it gives you this moment in time, a very, very specific moment that the dog has done something, and you can mark that behavior. And if you have that as a tool, you can shape behaviors into what you want very, very quickly. Yeah. So let's say you wanted the dog to go and pick up an article, and when they go and turn their head and start moving towards the article, you click the clicker, and the dog knows, oh, so moving towards that article was the correct thing, because you can tell them that at that exact moment what they were doing, and that it was good.
What training method do you call that? Is that free shaping?
You can use it in any training. You can use it in a lot of things, but
exactly.
It's mostly used in free shaping.
Exactly. What you just explained to people, like bit by bit by bit.
Yeah. So shaping and free shaping are two different things. Shaping is you can add in little hints and clues that you're trying to help the dog along.
Sorry, did I say shaping or free shaping?
You said free shaping. So free shaping is you sit there, you do nothing, you say nothing, you have a clicker.
Let the dog figure it out.
And the dog figures it out with no help.
Yep.
None. And so that's free shaping. Shaping, you can use little clues and hints, and you can get the dog to, let's say you want the dog to pick up a stick, and you throw the stick on the ground. That's no longer free shaping, because you've interacted with the stick and made it interesting to the dog.
Yep.
Right? But then when the dog goes over there and interacts with it, you can click.
Exactly.
Right? To say, yes, I wanted you to interact with that, right? So
it's another topic for another day.
It is, but this is what classical conditioning is used for in dog training. So right. How to shape is a separate thing, but clickers are classically conditioned to mean that a reward for the dog. That way you don't have to be, number one, next to your dog when you want to reward them, so you don't have to actually physically give them a treat. You can click, and they may be 20 meters away from you doing something, and you can click and tell them that they did the exact right thing. So it's a very valuable tool as far as training goes, and without having that conditioned response of meanings that yes, you did the right thing, we have no way of communicating that that's what we wanted.
In a natural sense, if you were to leave a dog, like if you were to observe a dog that was like had a really high prey drive and stuff, a natural thing that would be the substitute for a clicker, say like a rabbit squeaking.
Yes, yeah.
That is like, I've noticed it. Yeah. Joey will be just kicking about doing his own thing in the backyard, and then this happened like 2 weeks ago, and then there was a cat on the roof of the garage, and it meowed, so it made that noise. Yep. And he had an involuntary response, like a huge
I'm sure his whole
dump
thing
of
changed.
It did, and that was like shit.
Yeah.
Like cat.
Yes, yeah.
I'll kill you.
In hunt mode immediately. Yeah. So immediately switched from doing whatever he was doing to I'm hunting.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to do now.
Yeah.
And everything involved in that in his brain, everything went straight to it in a matter of a split second.
Classical conditioning.
That's
because
I would say
that
that's
prey noise, he can't help it.
Yeah.
So that's an example of classical conditioning.
It's also a predictor of a meal.
Yes, a
right?
predictor of a meal to come.
Yeah, so which is what classical conditioning really is. It does predict
Yes.
something.
Yep.
Yeah? But then the idea is the question that we'd have to ask Joe, which we will ask him at some stage.
Yeah.
Is
He's keen. He's keen to get on.
Yeah,
here.
we'll get him on here.
Yeah.
So we'll ask Joe if he felt like he hunted when he heard if he felt as good as, if he didn't hunt at all when he heard the cat noise, because that's the real question.
The answer to that is no.
So maybe it's not classically conditioned in that sense, because it's predicting the hunt, but if he didn't get to hunt, he'd be disappointed.
He's always pissed off.
Right? And the idea behind classical conditioning is that they're not disappointed. They're totally content with that noise.
Oh.
Which is what it's hard for us to understand.
Yeah.
Right? When you click, the dog thinks they got it. They just it's like, here's your $5. You didn't get $5, but it's like giving you the $5 even though you didn't get it.
Okay.
Right? That's the idea behind it.
Nice.
So we want them to think it's just as good, as getting the reward. And it still boggles my mind today to try, this is why I want to have someone on here that can really go through it and really explain it to me, because it still doesn't make any sense to me. I'm thinking, it's not just as good because the dog still wants the treat, right? And if they didn't get the treat, then they didn't get the reward.
That's where I find it.
But it's not that way confusing. It works. Yes.
No, because he can't help the way that, like Joey in that example with the cat that meowed on the roof.
Yeah.
He can't help his reaction.
Right.
So to me, that's like something physically has happened to his body that he can't control because of that single noise.
Yes.
But no, he didn't get the cat because I wasn't going to let him get the cat.
Now, here's the thing though. So let's say how much of it is reflexes as well. So a reflex is not a classically conditioned response. So, for example, if you get scared of something, you can get scared of something that you've never seen before.
Exactly. People are naturally scared of...
You're naturally scared of something, right?
Yep.
So you have an involuntary response to a stimulus of some sort, but you're not classically conditioned to it.
Exactly. So that may be genetic in that...
Yes, yeah.
In that... Exactly.
Right? So when you start to think of it like that, it changes it a little bit.
Yeah.
And knowing what's actually a classically conditioned response and what is just a predictive response is, like a reflex or anything like that. Actually, those are two different things again. So reflexes and predictive responses and, the classically conditioned responses are all kind of a little bit different. Whether or not I'm using those terms exactly right, there's multiple different levels of it. And there's even higher order. Oh God, I'm not going to get into it. Never mind. Just forget about it. It's too much.
Yep.
My own brain will pop. So I don't want to do that to anybody. Can
I just take a moment to sort of congratulate myself on the fact that I haven't sworn at all in this episode?
I am pretty impressed.
But I am going to just, there's $6.
Are we just donating now?
I am. I'm just donating because I feel bad.
We need to find another way to donate now.
I feel bad.
You don't feel bad because now you're going to start swearing in order to donate. That's not good.
Maybe I'll do it every time I say Big Kahuna.
Oh,
because then I'll never call you Big Kahuna.
No, and we want to hear that.
I'll just call you Grand Poobah.
We will think of another thing that we can, listeners out there, if you can think of something.
Yeah, tell us. And don't just say like, every episode donate $50.
It has to be something reasonable. Like something
Please be reasonable.
Something that we care about.
I have a life to live as well. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that is we always open up cans of worms on here.
This is the problem with any of these topics. You can't just talk about any one thing. It spirals off into a million different rabbit holes that you find yourself in the middle of nowhere.
I know. But, we'll revisit it.
And this is the thing. We're going to have to continue to revisit all these things. And through time and through your added support of ongoing listening, you will eventually fully understand everything that we're talking about.
Yeah, you'll be like a little Super Saiyan
Yeah.
through the information that we have discussed. But
Exactly.
you know what I reckon it's time for?
What time is it?
It's time for breed of the week.
Okay.
I don't know what breed that it could be. Maybe a Whippet or a small Bichon Frise. But if you stick around, you will see. 'Cause it's time for breed of the week. I don't know what breed that it could be. Maybe a Labrador or a BSMG. But if you stick around, you will see. 'Cause it's time for breed of the week.
Woo!
Oh, breed of the week.
All
What
right.
is the breed of the week?
Well, it's a very short and stout dog, and it is called the Pembroke Welsh Corgi.
Oh, the corgi. Oh,
Yeah, what do you know about them?
So they're cute.
They are cute,
Yeah.
aren't they?
And
my
they're
mum,
in-
my mum had two, I think.
Are you
Like-
serious?
Yeah, she had two when she was a kid.
No way.
Yeah.
You know what? Have you ever seen the show? Oh man, now that I've said it, now I'm not going to remember what it's called. Something. Oh, the 9-9.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Brooklyn 9-9. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't the police captain...
Yes.
Yes, he has a... We're going to find out the name of that.
Yeah, corgi.
Yeah,
he's got a
that is
corgi.
such a good show.
I love that show.
It's a bloody great show.
Oh man.
But anyways, let's just tuck straight into the PWC, or the Pembroke Welsh Corgi.
Yes.
So this breed originated in Wales, and the name is derived from Celtic language, corgi. So cor meaning dwarf, and gi meaning dog.
Ah, dwarf
Yeah.
dog. Okay, that makes so much sense.
From now on, I will call this the LDD, or the little dwarf dog, or the PDD, Peter Dinklage dog.
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, Tyrion from Game of Thrones.
Oh, political correctness.
He is, isn't he? You don't call them midgets. Don't call those people midgets.
I don't. Those people.
What do you mean, you people?
Maybe we can do it when you say politically incorrect things. You have
Yeah,
to
true.
put money in the jar.
I
I don't
don't-
know
like-
if that's politically incorrect or not.
I don't have any malice like when I say those
Oh
things.
God, no! I know that.
Like
yeah.
it's like I don't know.
I don't know
Yeah.
if there's. I don't know if there's a. I don't think we're supposed to address it.
Yeah, probably not. But we've done it now. Anyway,
Anyway, don't worry about it, guys.
so
Just pretend we never said anything.
yeah, let's play the pretending game. So there's two types of corgis. There's the Cardigan Welsh Corgi and the Pembroke. These are different to the Cardigan Welsh Corgi in that its body is shorter and isn't as heavy boned as... Well, the Pembroke isn't as heavy boned as the Cardigan Corgi that predates the Pembroke.
Ah.
So, and it is thought that the two Corgi breeds are from mixes between teckles. Do you know what a teckle is, Kahuna?
No.
So a teckle is like the granddaddy of like modern day Dachshunds. I'm not saying dash hounds because that's not what they're called. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. It's not a dash hound. It's a dachshund. Look at the spelling.
Josh is very, very big on pronunciation of
I am.
breeds. The
Dachshund.
yacht.
Yacht.
Terrier.
Yacht. But yeah, so teckles, look them up, people. Little furry, furry dudes. And they're serious little sons of bitches that make a lot of game species their bitch. They're
So
hunters.
The teckles are?
Teckles, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the corgis, no.
They're old, ancient hunting breed. Well, we'll talk about the corgis in a second. But the corgis are derived from teckles, they reckon. I've got a mate who wants to import teckles into the country.
Oh.
So, yeah, because they don't have them here. But we'll talk about that at another time. But the Pembroke Corgi is thought to be a result of breeding between the Cardigan Corgi and the Swedish Valhund that was brought to Wales by the Vikings. Yeah, Ragnar Lothbrok in his longboat was like, let's see what we can make.
Yeah.
See what we can make with these dogs.
Oh, that's crazy.
And they killed everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then made these dogs.
Yeah. Have you seen Vikings?
Yeah.
What a great
Who
show.
hasn't seen Vikings?
Anyone out there that hasn't seen Vikings?
See it.
I'm going to punch you in the boob.
No, it's a great show, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favourite character, just quickly?
Oh, I like Bjorn.
Bjorn Ironside.
Yeah.
Bjorn actually means bear. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, isn't he? I bet you he'd have a dog, but Bjorn would probably have like a big Roddy or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Welsh farmers originally used the Pembroke as a Pembroke Welsh Corgi as a versatile farm dog for herding cattle, vermin control, and property guarding.
Property guarding.
Yeah. That's what I found out.
Because they're savage beasts.
Savage little...
Okay.
So...
They would make me want to go into properties.
I know.
If I saw... yeah. Oh!
It's like a fly trap.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'd be like the fly that's like, oh my God, a little small dog, I'll come and give a cuddle. And then he just rips my throat out.
Yeah.
He's like the rabbit in
That's
Monty
what I was going to say, the rabbit in Monty Python.
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of. Anybody who says that thing is going to attack you.
It's not. But being that the breed is small and puppies were sometimes born with a bobtail, this classified them as working dogs by the authorities and saw that they were exempt of taxes that were in place at the time.
Okay. So because of the bobtail.
Bobtail, yeah. Well, if back then, so if you docked a tail on a dog, that classified... Well, this is in Wales. If you docked a tail on the dog, that meant it was a working breed or a working dog, and it was exempt from taxes that were imposed by the government.
Oh,
yeah,
is that why they were doing all that stuff for so long?
Well, it's one of the reasons why people did the docking of the tails.
Yeah.
But also, because of the genetics of the corgi, some of them were born with bobtails, so they didn't need to do it, and it was just exempt of the taxes because of that.
Yeah, right.
And I guess that's why they were pretty popular with the old farmers at the time.
Well, that and they're just adorable.
Yes, they are.
They are, like, look at this. Look at this.
What am I looking at?
Hold on. Look at that thing.
Oh.
Sweet Jesus! Look at that. How cute it is.
Just want to put that on a sandwich.
Yeah. Have a look at.
If you're having a bad day, have a look at corgi puppies, and everything will be good again.
Yeah.
Look at them. They're just so... Oh, they look happy, and I'm going to try and convince Hannah to get one. Oh. They do have that long body like a dachshund, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Look at that long body.
Oh, yes. So what do they like?
Face. Good question. From what I have found out and what I have read on a number of different sources from the interwebs, it says that they're pretty active, animated dogs, and they don't ever really want to be left out of the action, is what I've...
right.
Yeah, so, in their own minds, they're big dogs in small bodies.
And if they are left out of the action and they start, they're not getting enough stimulation.
Yeah.
From what I gather, they can be quite destructive and
this is true. They're prone to excessive alarm barking and digging.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And they'll chew a heap of stuff if they're left alone, which is like a lot of dogs.
Most dogs will do
just
that.
to keep themselves entertained,
Yeah.
They're really happy to be part of the family, and a lot of people say that they're really good with other pets and children if they've been raised with them. I don't know how they'd go being introduced to them if they were a rescue, say.
What I've gathered is that they have some territorial aggression towards other things.
Yeah, they've got territorial aggression, and because they were used for herding, they do have a herding instinct. So they're known to nip at the back of heels of small children.
Little nibble.
Yeah, they're like, no, I'm just going to have a little bit of that. As the kids are running around.
Yep.
At their bar mitzvahs and other assorted fun times.
Birthday parties.
But living with them, as far as living with them goes, they reckon that they only need a groom probably once a week, except for in times of shedding. They can develop obesity pretty quickly if you overfeed them. So they don't really need a lot of food. And, if they do get fat, it's actually a lot of pressure on their long back, because they do have that long body.
Yeah, that's similar to the Dachshund as well.
Yeah.
So any of those types of dogs, if they get overweight, it's really not good on them at all.
It's going to be real
Much
bad.
worse than a human being overweight. That's for sure.
Reckons that they don't do well in a kennel environment if they're left in a kennel.
That's pretty standard.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah. Well, number one, no dog is going to be doing really well if they're just left in a kennel.
No, but they could sleep in there overnight.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Sleeping in a kennel and then you do stuff with the dogs during the day.
Yeah.
It's just if you're going to get a dog, any dog, and just leave them in a kennel all the time, then you're not doing the right thing by the dog anyway.
Nope, not at all. But exercise is a must, and corgis are people oriented, and they love to work with them and enjoy training.
Well, we can tell that from the Brooklyn Nine-Nine dog there.
He was trained to retrieve plaques.
Yeah, plaques.
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 Yeah, plaques. Retrieve the plaque. Despite their appearance, they're athletic little dogs, and they excel in herding and other agility competitions.
I'd love to watch one.
I've actually seen, some people use the little corgs as in the agility.
The little agility dog?
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I'm going to be looking that up later today.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can look it up now.
Okay.
They're quick to learn tricks. They seem to have a sense of humor. Maybe I should get one so it laughs at my jokes.
A sense of humor. They seem to have a sense. Are they just saying
I don't know.
Things that they feel?
Things that they feel, yeah. I don't think dogs understand, like, when something's funny or not. But apparently these do.
Yep.
They're excellent watchdogs. Don't get that mixed up with them being like a home guardian or anything. I think that ties into them having the excessive alarm barking.
Yeah.
Don't get that confused, everybody. They might be good watchdogs in that they bark when the postman comes or somebody new comes that they don't know, but they're not gonna protect your house.
No, they're not gonna like scare people off. I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
No. Because of their small stature, corgis seem to be attracted to high places and may occasionally be found on the back of the sofa or in the middle of the kitchen table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corgis do need a firm but kind hand in training, and if left to their own devices, they can be manipulative and will take charge themselves.
Oh, so they'd be bossy little devils.
Bossy little devils. They'll be like, you do the dishwasher. You do
when
it.
you've clearly asked them to do the dishwasher.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, long body, go and do the dishes, please. You do it, big piece of shit. But in terms of how big they're going to get, so the males tend to grow to about 12 to 12.5 kilos, and the females just under that at 11 to 12. And they're usually fully grown at around 12 months age.
Okay. 12 months, yeah. So no more developing at all after that.
Well, not really. That's what I found.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
Unless you feed them, I don't know, steroids or something. But but a little fun fact about this breed, in case people hadn't already cottoned on to the fact, the Queen was given purebred corgis as a gift.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's had them pretty much the entire time she's been Queen, but the only purebred one that she had left, which I think was called Willow, died, I think, within the last year or two.
Oh.
But now all she has is what she and other people call doggies, which is mixed with a dachshund.
Is that like the English way of saying doggies?
Maybe.
Doggies?
I am going to go and pet my doggies. I'm the Queen and I have gloves to wear to social events and a crown and other bullshit. Jives, get my slippers, you tall piece of shit. I'm the Queen. I'm part of the monarchy. I'm absolutely not necessary at all.
She's probably a lovely lady.
Imagine if she listened. And then she's like, those sons of bitches.
That's why I'm saying she's a lovely lady.
You're not. You're an old bitch. Sorry, Queen.
We're just kidding.
We're just kidding.
Josh is just kidding. I didn't say any of that.
Yeah, but you call your dogs doggies.
So what is the what's?
It's a mix. It's just a corgi mixed with a dachshund. And do you know what I call that? A mongrel breed.
Yep.
It's just a cross.
Yeah.
You don't have to categorize everything.
No, it's just a crossbreed.
Yeah, it's just a crossbreed. How can I get my blood pressure down?
Click.
Maybe I'll just do the Queen's accent for what's up next. Got some questions for you, Grand Poobah.
It's question time for Big Kahuna. Like why does little Fluffy always shit on my doona? Why she bite my girlfriend when I'm trying to spoon her? And all these questions and more on Big Kahuna's Mailbag.
All right, back for another week.
I do like question time.
Back for another week with the Kahuna and his mailbag.
Sometimes when I hear mailbag, it just doesn't. It's a bit dirty.
Why?
Doesn't it sound a little bit dirty sometimes?
You just need to get your mind out of the gutter, Kahunio. Alrighty, anyway.
Yep, okay.
Alright, this first question comes from Nick in Sydney. He didn't really specify where. But he says, Big Kahuna, I have a 3.5-year-old Rottweiler called Lenny. About a month ago, I had surgery on both my shoulders after an accident at work. Since then, I've not been able to take Lenny for his daily walk, and I can't convince my mum to do it anymore because she says he's too strong for her and is forever pulling on the lead. I should note that he usually walks on a harness. He's stacking on weight, and the vet had a go at me about it the other week when I took him in to get his tooth checked. I've bought a head halty because a mate told me it would help, but he hates wearing it and spends the majority of any walk trying to pour at it to get it off. I would too.
It'd be a bit hard putting a halty on a
roddy
as well.
Yeah, big old head. Noses. Yeah, I'd try and pour it off as well. How do I get him to walk nicely on the lead so that either I can walk him and it's not going to bust my shoulders, or so that my mum can walk without being pulled along?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So, well, there's a few bits and pieces here, isn't there?
There sure is.
Just a couple bits and a couple pieces.
Just a few bits.
Okay. Well, oh my. Did you just turn up our...
I just turned up our headphones.
I hope that didn't go up for you guys.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So...
I'm a tech genius.
Yeah.
Now.
Fantastic. So we can address the vet thing pretty quickly. You know, yes, they need their exercise and stuff to stay, lean, but if your dog is getting fat, feed them less.
Yes.
Just feed them less.
Yep. I don't know what the vet told you.
It sounds like he had a go at him about
not exercising
fat.
The dog, yeah.
Yeah. So, the dogs need to be like humans. If you run marathons, you need to eat more food, right? But if you sit on the couch all day, you need to eat less food. Same thing, right? So don't be giving your dog a million, sandwiches.
But it, especially, take into consideration that he probably is like, oh, Lenny, I want to feed you just as much because I love you so much, buddy.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
I know,
and
exactly.
It feels awful to give you.
I know.
This is why Penny's still got that little bit of chub.
Because you want to feed him.
Yeah, because they love it so, especially Penny.
Yeah, I've gotten into a real bad habit doing it with Joe now. He eats his chicken legs so quickly.
And
like all the other dogs.
Poor guy.
Yeah, and he's looking at me and he's like, whole body's like moving.
Yeah, you gotta shove it in a Kong or something.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so
anyways, feed him a bit less, and then that fatness will go away. I can preach that. I can't do it myself, but it's. But I mean, so that helps. But obviously, we want to get him back out on his walks. Now, the using a harness is not helping the situation either.
No, because it's what people don't, and we're going to talk about this. People don't fully appreciate and understand what opposition reflex is.
Yeah.
In dogs,
they pressure is applied and they oppose it,
Yep.
and
So
that
that
actually makes them feel good.
Yeah, it's how they train sled dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are the harnesses out there that have a negative reinforcement sort of effect to them, which what it is it just hurts the dog until they stop pulling. And that's essentially the idea of the halties as well. They're like a negative reinforcement tool. Nothing wrong with using negative reinforcement and using it in your training, but it's that is what it's doing. When the dog pulls, it pulls down and it turns their head sideways and makes it all uncomfortable. And that's why the head halter works, because the dog doesn't want that. And that's why most dogs that have them, I'm going to get someone saying, my dog loves it. Well, good.
Yeah, good for you.
But most
for a
dogs
lot
don't.
of cases, it's a disaster waiting to happen, because, like I said, opposition reflex. The dog's head goes one way. It's got that natural. It just involuntarily does it.
Yeah,
pulls the other way.
It takes him a bit of time to work out the thing, and it really frustrates the dogs quite often.
Yep. So they're not going to enjoy their walk.
No, but the trouble that you'll find now is that because the dog is actually if you had to ask your dog the question, what are you supposed to do when you go for a walk, he would probably say, I'm supposed to pull as hard as I can, and that will get me to everywhere I want to go. And
every different smell that is along the journey, I get there.
And if I want to go anywhere, I have to make sure I pull as hard as I can and bring my owner with me.
Yep.
That's probably the answer you'd be getting. Where what we want them to be saying is, well, I have to walk. If I want to go smell things and go places, I need to walk nicely and not put any tension on the lead. Now, in training dogs for the police and for other, different types of training.
Well, that's how they train the sled dogs.
Exactly. So different sort of things that you're doing with the dogs. We specifically train them
to pull hard on the harness.
Yeah, to make them think the only way I get somewhere is to pull. So if that's what we're doing on purpose, then obviously that's what's happening on accident when you have your dog out for a walk. And the way that I get around that is every single time. Now, it's going to be hard to just go to this at the point you're at now, because the dog has learned one thing. So what I would try and do probably is switch to a different type of, definitely wouldn't be using the harness anymore, and switch to a different type of collar or something.
What are those collars? The martingale?
Martingale collars.
Martingale collar?
Yeah, so they're a little bit of a slip chain thing, but not the full.
It's not the choker.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's not the correction. Well, the check chain.
Yeah.
Is the actual name for it, but people call it the choker chain.
Yeah, which is again.
It's not true.
That's not how they're supposed to be
That's not how they're
used.
supposed to be used.
Yeah. But a topic for the end of the day. But just get a different collar. A martingale might help for the sake of this, but in the beginning when you're doing this, you cannot train this through using corrective measures, because corrective measures to me that's unacceptable, because you've already taught your dog to pull. So then to train them not to pull by using corrective measures, it's like teaching you to do something and then saying, well, no, I don't want you to do that anymore, and I'm going to correct you to make you not do it. You now have to go through the hard yards to teach them not to pull without corrections.
Yep.
So, and then you can add corrections in later if you really need to. But what I do is I literally just, anytime the dog wants to go in a particular direction, I will either stop and they do not get to go there, or I will change directions quickly,
There is it's a little training drill that people do in America. Well, that's where I first learned about it, was they do it in America. It's called the leadership drill.
Yep.
So exactly what you're doing, like you'll be walking in another direction. You'll have a bit longer of a lead sort of thing, and then you'll abruptly change direction, and then the dog goes, oh shit, like I've just been pulled from where I was going to over here, and dad's gone, or dad or mum or dad's gone over there. It's like, I better be clued on to exactly where we're going.
I should have been paying attention.
I should have been paying attention.
Yeah. And we get the dog to pay more attention to where we're at. And what I like to do in this situation is, when the dog does clue in and changes their direction, when I change directions, I reward them with either a ball or a treat or whatever it is, whatever the dog wants at the time. I'll reward them with that. And maybe that's a tree. They want to sniff a tree. Maybe that's the reward. So when they do what I want and change directions and don't pull on the lead, then I give them something that they want. And so it adds two things. Number one, they didn't get pulled away from whatever it was they were going for, and number two, they get a positive thing for being close to us. So it builds the bond and makes them want to stay closer to you, and makes them want to look at you and where you're at. So once they work that out, then it's much easier. They don't want to go away from you. They don't want to pull and go to every single tree. They want to stay close to you because that's where all the good stuff comes from.
Yeah, you're taking them to whatever they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of changing the dog's opinion of what they believe really a walk is about. Because you've taught them that pulling is what you want them to do.
Yep.
And now you have to teach them that no, pulling is no longer useful, and if you try and pull, you will get nowhere and you'll do nothing. Now, a big point in this, and this is where so many people make mistakes. You take your dog out for a walk, you want to go to the park, or you want to go around the block, or whatever it is. My suggestion to you is do not have a destination.
Yeah.
Go for as long of a walk as you go for. So I've had dogs where I've gone for a half-hour walk and I have not made it past the end of the driveway. These are dogs that have had really long histories of pulling and things like that, and you just don't make it past the driveway. You just keep changing directions, you keep stopping, you do whatever you need to do, but they never ever get any further than the end of the driveway if they're pulling to do so. It doesn't take long. That's like session 1, and then the next day you go 100 meters, and then the next day you go 500 meters, and then in a short amount of time, depending on how consistent you are with it, you will end up being able to do your whole walk no problem. But in the beginning, do not have a destination in mind.
That's so right, man. Consistency is key, and you got to be prepared to put in the groundwork to get the results that you're after in doing this, and that's. Like, I couldn't have answered it any better. Well, I never answer questions better than you do anyway. But you're take that half an hour. Well, most people will say, oh, I wasted it. Well, no, you've just trained your dog that you're the leader in this scenario, and we go where I go. And if you don't get past the driveway, you don't get past the driveway.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Take the time. Don't get frustrated.
Yeah.
So many people, I think, let frustration get the better of them when they're dog training. And, they'll be like, oh, I've been doing this for 15 minutes. And then they'll just be like, you know what?
Yeah. And if you think about 15 minutes, if you think your dog should be able to do something in a really short amount of time, the way that I look at my training is, okay, if I get a dog as a puppy, I want them to be able to do this, that, and that, and that. And I have a list of things that I want. And then I have an amount of time before I want them to be able to do those things. And for me, when I say, yep, dog understands what I want, that's like 2.5 years down the track. So when I start practicing the drop, I'm not doing it thinking next week I'm good, I'm done, the dog knows drop. No, I don't think that at all. I think the dog knows a portion of drop, and then I have to do it here and there and there. And it takes me 2 years to get them to do it everywhere that I want them to do it, and for as long as I want, and all those things.
Such an excellent point as well, mate. Like, you could have the dog walking. So say, for example, you took the dog on Route X, and the dog is familiar and everything's sort of consistent. There isn't many variables in there, and the dog is responding and reacting and walking nicely on the lead and stuff. But then you take it to that next environment that you're like, well, the dog should do it because he's done it every other time on Route X. But then you take him somewhere else, and you start to notice those things again where he's like, why is he pulling on the lead?
You have no idea how many clients I've had that this is very new to them. When I say that, exactly what you're about to talk about, and the context thing, dogs do not generalize well. They learn bad
contextual learners.
That's right. So they learn in one environment, and then they go to the next environment.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, we're doing a dance party.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Going. Yeah.
So they learn in one environment, and then when they go to the next environment, you need to start from almost the beginning again on that same activity to get them to get to the same level that they're at in the environment they learned it in. And that's because they just do not learn they don't think it's the same. So if you tell a dog to sit on a piece of concrete, and that's the only place they've ever sat was on a piece of concrete, and then you go to grass and you ask them to sit, they may or may not do it. And that's not because they're just disobeying you. It's because they just don't get it. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be like, you're not at the airport and someone says, go get on the airplane. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah. There's no airplane to get on, so how am I supposed to do it? They perceive that the activity that you're asking them to do requires pavement.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, then they don't know how to do it. So it's the same thing with any command or anything that you want your dogs to do. When you go to a new environment, they must practice again in that environment until they get what's called generalization. So then you go to any new environment and they can still do it.
Yeah.
Which takes a long time.
I'm so glad you're on here, man, because without you, this would be nothing.
Oh, I disagree.
It's like your dog Jesus, man.
Dog Jesus.
Deeges.
Oh, little Deeges.
But Nick, to summarize and, hopefully that has sort of given you some ideas, but taking into consideration your injuries and your recovery and your rehab and stuff, I'm going to say, mate, you're going to have to invest some money and time into a trainer.
Yeah, or getting someone that can do it, because you're not going to be able to. In the beginning, it's going to take some time to get them out of that.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a bit of a thing that you're going to have to persist with.
Yeah.
It's no quick fix.
Absolutely.
But mate, you're in line for the prize today.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon?
I know what it is because I've already got it lined up.
Oh, what is it?
It's old drawings off the fridge that I did when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've kept every single one of them since I was 6.
Sadly, that actually sounds like an appealing prize for me.
We can even laminate them for you.
Ooh, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
We might have to go to Office Works.
It's going to really hurt parting ways with all the pictures of the ponies that I ever did. Anyways, next question comes from Paul in Bermagui.
Oh, thanks,
God's
Paul.
country.
God's country.
It's near Narooma. Have you ever been there?
I don't know.
Naruma's bloody beautiful.
How do I know? I don't know.
You probably haven't.
What else is it near?
It's like, I don't know, Bega.
South
like
Coast of New South Wales.
South Coast of New South Wales.
I have done the South Coast.
You've driven through there. Well,
Yeah.
you've probably stopped near Narooma.
Oh.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
But
it's beautiful.
anyway, Paul from Bermagui says, Big Kahuna, I live on the south coast of New South Wales, and one of my favourite pastimes is heading out on my sea kayak with my staffy Lola in her own seat in the back.
Oh,
That
silly.
is cute as a small miniature potato.
Yeah.
Lola loves the water and she loves fishing. Whenever I'm able to reel in a fish that I've caught, Lola goes berserk and tries to snatch the fish off the line once it's in the boat. She's been successful a few times and has even taken off for a swim holding her prized fish. How do I calm her down when I catch a fish?
Oh,
God.
These ones I find are just so hard. It's not a hard process to fix this,
No.
but she's had it happen multiple times. This is the thing
and she's even had success.
Yeah. So this is what happens. This is what makes it hard. If you see there's a problem, don't let it keep happening.
Yeah.
That's the biggest number one. Don't let it keep happening. As soon as there's a problem, don't put them in the same situation again where they can let it happen over and over and over again. Because all you're doing is reinforcing the behavior that they're doing. You know, when Lola runs around and tries to get the fish, if she gets it, you've just reinforced that behavior.
Yeah.
Massively.
Exactly.
Absolutely massive.
Yep.
That for her would be the best day probably in her life.
Yeah.
You know? So you've now given her the best day in her life 3 times, and now you're going to tell her, don't do that anymore.
Well, we don't know if it's 3 times. We know it's a few times. But
to me, that's 3.
Yeah.
A few is
to
3.
Paul, it could be 52.
Well, if it's any more than 1, I don't like it. All right? So this is, from here, now it requires a lot of what I would call management tools. So do not let her get to it on multiple occasions. That's for sure. You can't. Anytime she gets to it ever again, all she's going to think is that I just have to work harder. Maybe I don't get it this time. Maybe I get it. This is that whole, the slots, the pokies, or whatever you call them.
Yep.
They play the pokies over and over and over again for that maybe.
For that,
right?
Possible jackpot.
Yeah. So, and she's already done this. She's had that possible thing. I'll try, and then she gets it. Every once in a while, she gets it.
Yep.
So it may take 200 tries of her getting nothing before she goes, okay, I'll give up.
Yeah, there's no point doing this.
And maybe more, right? So it could be even more than that. So in conjunction with this, there's other training you need to do on the side. But number one is never, ever, ever let her get to the fish again, right?
Yep.
The second thing is training impulse control in a separate environment.
Yeah.
So training, and what I would do is actually get like a fish and teach the dog to sit in the boat. Control
herself before she gets the reward. Yeah.
Exactly. And teach the dog to sit in the boat at home.
Yeah. Just in your shed or something.
Just in your shed. Yep. And bring the fish out and show her that if she sits there nicely and calm, she can...
She will get the fish.
She will get the fish eventually.
Yeah.
Right? And when you go out in the boat, eventually what you can start doing is, ideally have either be able to give her a piece of a fish, or give her a piece of that fish, or give her a fish that she can catch, and, give her that as a reward for sitting there calmly. And once she realizes there's a better way to do it, then she can, there'll be no problem there at all.
Yeah, because what I see is like prey drives kicking in.
Yeah,
when the fish is wiggling on the line.
Flibbity-flobbing around.
And, my beautiful partner Hannah's just walked in the dell.
Oh.
Looks like she's bearing treats. Are you bearing treats? Are you bearing treats? No. Okay, she's not bearing treats. Anyways, continuing on.
Yeah, but that's essentially it,
Yeah, the dog is kicked into prey drive because it sees the fish wiggling around on the line, and it's like, I got to have that. It's mine now.
Goes and nails it, and then once that gets reinforced, then you get the real bad behavior.
Yeah.
So, number one, don't let her ever get it for doing that behavior ever again. And number two, give her another way of getting the same reward.
Yep.
Right.
So it might just be like you said, starting off by doing it in the sea kayak at home, not in the water. She's controlled. Then she gets the fish.
Yep.
Then you might take it out on like an expedition where you're not fishing. The fish isn't going to be live on the line.
Exactly.
She's nice and calm, and then suddenly a fish gets thrown Lola's way. Even though it's not wiggling around, it still might be enough to sort of. She might be like,
pretty happy with that.
I'm pretty happy with that. Like, and I wasn't even doing anything. I was just here having a little pant.
And you know what? On occasion, give her the little floppity fish.
Yeah, give her the flippity
if she
flop.
does a good job sitting there.
That's right.
Give her the super reward.
Yeah, give her the super reward for sitting there nicely.
Yeah, instead of flippity flopping or running around herself.
What are you doing over there, Hanny? Yeah, you can start the microwave. We got all sorts of sounds in here.
Yeah. We might use this one. We might pull this one back out.
Yeah, exactly. But, just like Nick's question, it's a long journey now because
a long journey.
Yeah, because you have, you've let her win. And you didn't know. Like, I'm guessing that you didn't know that it was going to be such a big problem.
And sometimes it's quite funny. The things
yeah,
that the
I think
dogs
it's
are doing.
funny. If you get a video of it, can you please send it to us?
Well, this is the thing, though. Behaviors like this start funny, and then they end up being annoying. And that's why they happen multiple times.
I just get anxiety thinking about Lola swimming around the ocean with a fish in her mouth.
Oh God.
Dun dun.
Yeah.
Dun dun.
Little
dun 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 dun
feet going around.
So please don't let her swim around the ocean for too long. I know it's probably not up to you because she's gone.
But yep, that answers your question.
Yeah,
we hope.
We hope, and we don't really have time for another question, so we're going to have to pick who wins the collection of my fridge drawings from age 6 to now.
The sad part is there's more fridge drawings in the past 1 year than there was when he was growing up from 6.
And Han always tells me that they're good, even if they're really bad.
But well, it's actually pretty funny. The what do you call it? The illustration for our Dog Ugly Dudes. Josh.
I'll draw it. Yeah, I'll put it up on the Instagram.
Yeah, Josh actually drew.
I drew it.
Yeah,
I actually drew. I was looking at it yesterday.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, you talented little.
Oh man, you're really into the arts.
I'm really into my farts.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that ends another episode of Dog Ugly Dudes talking dogs.
Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning into episode 5.
Have yourselves a lovely day.
Yeah, we got a good one coming up next week. Episode 6.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you anything about it.
We're not going to tell you a single thing.
No.
Not a single thing. Have a great week. Hope it's not bleak. Bye.